Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the People's Republic of Saturn. The revolution is on the internet. Broadcasting to the world at www.harrysaturn.com and www.liveaudiowrestling.com. This is your weekly audio check-in from WCW wrestler Perry Saturn.
Perry Saturn, how you doing this week?
I'm doing okay. I've been better, but I'm doing okay.
I understand you're hurting a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a little banged up. I got a bruised hip and a hip pointer.
Oh, look out. How did those happen?
Taking a suplex from Asia, superplex, in a match on Nitro.
Right.
First we did it in the afternoon to make sure she could do it right, and she threw me on my hip, and we thought we fixed it for the live show, and she just, no, it's not her fault. She's just really not ready to do stuff like that. And she threw me on my hip again, just the same hip. So actually, by the match, at match time, I could hardly walk. I was limping so bad in the back that I don't even know how I went. Like when Norman shot me into the ropes, I watched the tape, and I can tell, that it was a struggle for me just to get to the ropes.
Wow. Is that the what's the worst injury you've ever had?
When I tore my ACL, my meniscus, and my MCL.
How long did that put you out?
3.5 months.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean, that's...
I was supposed to be out for a year.
I was going to say, that's some remarkable recovery time.
Yeah. But I would, what do you call it, that was working with Paulie, and if you don't work, you don't make money.
Right.
I had the opportunity to come to WCW, and I didn't know if that opportunity would be there when my knee was healed, so I just forced myself to get through it,
You just sucked it up and did it, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, we're just on the heels of Christmas, coming out of the Christmas holidays. How was your Christmas, Perry?
It was very relaxing.
What did you do?
Nothing. After I got a DVD and a surround sound set up in my house, I didn't do anything. I relaxed. I actually typed out a movie review for my webpage.
Yeah, speaking of that, we're going to get to the movie review a little bit later on. If you're listening to us on the internet, make sure you go check out perrysaturn.com and check out Perry Saturn's movie reviews. It's the end of the millennium, Perry. People are going to be asking, who's the wrestler of the century? Perry, who's the best wrestler of all time in your mind?
That's an impossible question to answer. Even like I did the best 5 and the worst 5 just for of this year. That's so hard to narrow it down. There's so many guys that have so many things to offer. A lot of people would say Ric Flair. I don't know. I think that when Rick Rude's time in WCW, after he left WWF, right around the time when he broke his neck with Sting,
right.
I think that time right there, Rick Rude was the best there was.
Yeah, I remember speaking to you, and you said he was the best heel ever at that moment.
Yeah, I believe so. He had a phenomenal look. First of all, and cosmetics is a huge part of this business. And he had great ring psychology, and his promos were solid. You couldn't find anything wrong with him.
Were you close with Rick Rude?
I got friendly with him when he started working with Paulie with ECW, and he would critique my matches, tell me what he thought I did wrong, and I listened to everybody, because who knows, I don't know everything, so the next person might know 10 times as much as I do, so I listened to everything, and Rude was just, I guess he was impressed by the fact that I always tried to fix what he thought was wrong, so we rode together a few times, we hung out, so I got friendly with him,
Yeah, he certainly was a tragic loss, losing Rick Rude.
Especially, I guess he was going to make his big comeback,
I was going to say, yeah, wasn't he all gearing up to come back to WCW?
I think WWF he was going to.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I don't think it was WCW. I think Meltzer reported that he had a deal worked out with WWF.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Hey, Perry, how'd you get involved in wrestling?
It's something I wanted to do since I was a little kid. And after I got out of the Army, just looking through a wrestling magazine, they had Bill Apter had a column in it, and you write Bill Apter questions, and he replied to some of the questions in the next month's magazines. And I wrote him and where would I learn how to wrestle, and he just wrote me back, and he sent me the letter I sent him,
Mm-hmm.
and he just put try Kowalski's and left the phone number on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I called Walter up, Killer Kowalski, to try to go to his school.
What was Killer Kowalski like to train with?
When I first called him, that was in 1980, 88, 89. Everybody was, 6'6", 300 pounds, all jacked,
Yeah.
So he told me that I was too small and he wouldn't train me.
Really?
So after I was persistent for 3 or 4 months, kept calling him, telling him, I'll gain weight. I weighed like 165 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and he said that he would train me under the condition that I understood I was too small to wrestle, and he wouldn't be able to put me on any shows until I gained weight.
Wow. So what was the breakthrough moment then?
What do you mean? What was the breakthrough?
Well, what was the breakthrough moment when Killer Kowalski finally realized that, you know what, he's not too small, he's a good worker, he's got talent, he's going to go far in the business?
Well, I went on the gas and I gained weight.
Oh, yeah? How much did you gain right away?
My first cycle, I bet I gained, because you gain the most on your first cycle, I bet I gained 35 pounds.
Wow.
So I'm 5'9", so I was 190 pounds, and that wasn't that small then.
How did that affect your mobility? I mean, making that drastic, gaining that much weight.
You know what? It didn't change much at all. I've been as heavy as when I was in New Japan in '93. I weighed 260 pounds.
Was that your heaviest?
Yeah. And I blew up quicker, but it really didn't affect my mobility any.
Uh-huh. What's a comfortable weight for you?
I'm 230 right now, and I think this is my most comfortable.
Uh-huh.
I'd actually think I'd like to go to 240, and I don't think I lose any mobility at 240. But once I start getting heavier than that, then it starts to slow me down. My back starts to bother me a little bit.
When you were training with Killer Kowalski, who else was there? I know Triple H was there with you. Who
Yeah,
else
he was there. Trying to think. Ron Reese was there for a while.
Uh-huh.
Who was he was Reese with WCW. I'm trying to think what else he did there. Ron Studd he did there. Trying to think who else. There's a couple other people that really. Paul Hunter and I were the only two that really got a break out of it. He had a couple of really good potential guys that just didn't make it because it's hard. You think you're going to be a superstar overnight.
Uh-huh.
You think you're going to go there and then a week later somebody's hiring you and you're making crazy money, and it's not that way. It takes a long time.
Yeah, what's it like training to be a wrestler? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of misconceptions about what's actually involved. What is it like?
For each person, it's different, Like Hunter, he wrestled maybe 10 to 15 matches, and he got a job with WCW.
Wow.
I wrestled for probably 6 years before I made a steady living.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter's 6'4", maybe 6'5", and he's big, 260, 270, So, and that's what people were looking for.
Do you still keep in touch with Hunter?
You know what? I gave Hunter my number through a mutual friend a few times, and he's never called me back. So either Hunter is assumed that I'm calling for a job, or maybe he just thinks he's too big of a star to talk to me. I don't know.
What about Walt? Sorry, go ahead.
But either way, he should have called me back, and he's been given my number several times.
What
I
about?
just wanted to call to congratulate him on his success.
Right. He's certainly done a great job in New York. What about Walter? Do you still talk to him?
Yeah, I talk to him all the time. Well, not all the time. I talk to him as much as I can, once a month or so.
How old is Walter now?
I would say 75.
Wow. And he's still running shows every now and then, isn't he?
Yeah, he would run a lot more, but, there's so many independent guys running shows, and they use, now the independent market is the people who buy the shows buy the cheapest show, and they don't care about the quality of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's guys just constantly undercut guys, and so many people want to be wrestlers that they wrestle for no money sometimes,
Yeah.
So if I got 10 guys who will wrestle for free, it's kind of hard to beat my price.
Sure, yeah.
And if you have ever seen some independent shows, I've seen some stuff that you just can't call it wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It's so bad.
Perry, you grew up in Cleveland. What kind of wrestling shows did you watch on TV?
Georgia Championship Wrestling was my favorite.
Oh, yeah?
And we would get the Texas was World Class.
World Class, yeah.
And later on, Georgia Championship Wrestling became the NWA. We never had WWF until they went national, you know.
Mm-hmm. So who'd you enjoy watching when you were a kid?
Road Warriors. Everybody loved the Road Warriors. You know, I liked. I'm trying to think of the Georgia Championship. Like they had Jake Roberts had a long feud with Ronnie Garvin, and Jake always managed to screw Garvin. That was always good. Arn Anderson, when they went to when they went to NWA, and Arn Anderson came in. Arn Anderson was one of my favorites. You know.
Uh-huh. What was it like when you first broke into the business and first got into the WCW locker room, and there was, you know, Arn Anderson, the guy you grew up watching on television?
Well, by then, I've been wrestling so long, you know, that I don't know. This sort of the like awe of it all was gone, because I've been wrestling for a long time already now. You know, and I've met so many people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was one of the boys by the time I went to WCW. You know, and the boys are the boys. It doesn't matter who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
When you started to break into the business, was there anyone that you consciously patterned yourself after, or you saw on television, you said, you know what, I want to work like this guy, or I want to look like this guy?
We did a show, and Kowalski did a show in Canada, and he had a whole bunch of guys from the independents, you know, like a whole bunch of different guys, like Greg Valentine, you know, that type of guys. Bill Eady, and Lanny Poffo was one of the guys on the show. And Lanny Poffo's advice to me was steal a little bit of something from everybody and make it your own thing. So that's what I kind of tried to do.
Interesting. So who would you say that you stole from?
I don't know. I right now I think I tried to pattern myself after Arn, and I try to get Rude's intensity, but I just don't get it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to get that this year. This year, that's one of my New Year's resolutions. I'm going to get Rude's intensity this year.
Mm-hmm.
Macho Man, I like how he's perpetual motion. You know, he never stops moving.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then later on, guys like Chris Benoit, Taz. I worked with Taz in the ECW school. You know, the dojo together.
Right.
To where. I learned a lot from Taz. I would think Taz learned a lot from me. The way our styles kind of melted together a little bit, you know.
Right. You mentioned Arn Anderson. You speak very reverentially of Arn. He's probably one of the more well-known wrestling agents in WCW. Tell me a little bit about what a wrestling agent does.
He's kind of like the manager, you know. He gives the boys the finish, and his job is. He smooths out the the problems with, when this guy doesn't want to work with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they also meet together and they try to come up with the best plan possible for the show, you know.
Right.
They're all, in WCW anyways, they have a creative team that all gets together, Russo and Ferraro. They do basically the storyline, and the agents try to come up with the finishes that work the best to protect everybody, at least most of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. There's still a couple of agents that are dirty, filthy, backstabbing, that you can't trust them for anything in the world, and their only objective is to better themselves and better their position in the company. They don't care about the company. They don't care about any of the boys. All they care about is getting for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the biggest problems with WCW, is we still have a couple of people there who are trying to constantly undermine everybody and trying to just to stir up the pot and to get people against each other so that they can better their own personal gains. Instead of like when Ferraro and Russo first came in, I didn't like them, and they didn't like me. And actually, we were kind of joking about that this week, because I'll tell you exactly what's on my mind, and I don't think they were used to that. And I didn't like them at first, you know what I mean? Because they, like, for the wrong reasons, you know, I was wrong. They talked to, I watched them. I watch what everybody does. That's one of the things I do in the locker room. We have so much time. And they made their rounds. They talked to everybody, and they really didn't talk to me, so I felt excluded. So I figured right away, okay, I'm not part of these guys' plans. So I'm just, now what am I going to do? I got 2.5 years left on my contract, and we brought in new bosses who don't give a shit if I'm here or not,
Mm-hmm.
So then they came up to me and they wanted to change my character, which I wasn't comfortable with doing. And I figured, well, why should I trust these guys? You know what I mean? Because I just didn't think. I thought I was, the old theory that some must die so others can live. I figured I was one of the guys that they must die so that the company could live, because they really didn't care about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that just wasn't the case,
Mm-hmm.
And but end up, I'm working very well with them guys, but there's still some of the agents would like to see them guys gone, and they'd like to be the bookers, so they're doing everything they can to undermine Russo and Ferraro to make them look bad. They're trying to turn some of the top stars against them. They're doing just everything they possibly can to get them out, so hopefully someday they can take the book back over again. And when these guys had the book, the company was dying anyway, so... and that's, if we can get rid of that, then WCW might start winning some rating wars.
Right. You mentioned that Arn is your favorite wrestling agent to work with, but I know you also speak very highly of Terry Taylor.
Yeah, Terry Taylor is a great guy. I tell you what, Terry hired me, and I worked a dark match with Kidman in Milwaukee. It was 3 months after my knee surgery, and the doctor told me I wasn't going to be able to wrestle for 9 months to a year. So I was still limping when I was trying to work, and Eric had no idea who I was, and Eric yells at Terry, and can't believe you hired somebody with a bad knee, what is the matter with you? We have to let this guy go. Then Eric wanted Terry Taylor to fire me, and Terry said, no way, you can't fire this guy. This guy's going to be worth money. And Terry goes, I'm willing to bet my job on it.
Wow.
And Eric goes, well, you just did. He better pay off, or you're screwed. And she stuck his neck out for me.
Well, how's that for loyalty?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Because he thought that they could do something with me,
Mm-hmm. Is Terry like that with all the boys?
I don't know. I can only tell you that's how he is with me. I don't know how he is with everybody else. I never hear anybody say anything bad about him.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the guys, I was just going to say, he's one of the guys that I've never heard anyone say, anything poor about. He seems to be a real stand-up, straight-shooting guy.
Yeah, I always hear that he's honest, and I never hear anybody say anything bad about him.
Is he going to get back in the ring and work with you guys?
I don't know. I haven't heard that rumor, so I don't know. But every other agent is on TV doing something. He might as well be.
Let's shift gears here and talk about your commentary, your movie review from last week on www.perrysaturn.com. An interesting comment here. In your review for the Al Pacino movie, Any Given Sunday, this is what you had to say. The movie told of the battle of young versus old, teamwork versus players trying to make personal bonuses over team success. In many ways, this reminded me of WCW. Can you expand on those comments?
Yeah, well, it's really easy. The deal there, Lawrence Taylor and LL Cool J were, if LL Cool J got so many yards rushing, he'd get $1 million bonus.
Mm-hmm.
If Lawrence Taylor got so many tackles, he'd get $1 million bonus. So LL Cool J didn't care if it was better to pass the ball for the team. He wanted them to give him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And same with Lawrence Taylor. He wanted to make he didn't care about the team winning as long as he got his tackles in. That's like Hogan, Macho Man. They don't care about the company. They're trying to milk as much out of it as they want now. I heard that Macho Man wanted $5 million a year for his next contract. He doesn't care if he's worth it or not. He doesn't care if the company folds in 2 years as long as he gets what he can get out of it now.
Right. New Year's is on the horizon this Saturday. We're flipping the calendar. Y2K on the horizon. Do you have New Year's plans, Perry?
I haven't made them yet. I'm still trying to get to a couple of the guys who are going to get together and figure out what we're going to do. Try to find the safest, most entertaining thing we can do,
Perfect. We wish you continued success, Perry, in the new millennium, and we'll talk to you next week.
Great, man. Everybody have a good holiday and be careful.
Thanks, Perry. Talk to you next week, man.
All right. See ya.
Fans, if you want Perry Saturn to answer your emails on this program, the address is perry@perrysaturn.com. Retransmission in whole or in part of this broadcast without the express written consent of Perry Saturn and live audio wrestling is strictly prohibited.